Hi, Trond. Hello.
Hey, nice to see you.
Nice to see you here at the new library in Oslo.
Yeah, it's wonderful. It's just so amazing for Oslo to have this library.
I agree. So you're here for the 37 questions by Oslo Innovation Week. Are you ready?
Yeah, of course.
Great. So what is your biggest project these days?
It's the Antler Talent Incubator that we started in Singapore 3 years ago. We have it in Oslo now, in Nairobi, in 10 countries around the world. That takes quite a lot of time.
Can you describe your job in 3 words?
It's creativity. I think it's a lot of kind of community. And it's people. Most important.
And what is the best advice that you got in your career?
Don't be afraid to help people.
And what is your favorite part of working with startups?
The favorite part is that you can create something significant for the world, for the society, with people that are so passionate. It gives you so much back.
Okay, and what is the biggest misconception about working with startups?
I think there's a couple of misconceptions. One is that the risk is so high. Well, today, I think the risk of not engaging in creating our future society, in creating new businesses, is much higher. And even though, you might fail, you have learned something. Everyone accepts that. The risk is much lower than people perceive.
That's fantastic. So what do you think we check upstairs?
Yeah, sure, it'd be good.
All right, so you work with so many people. What do you think makes a good leader?
A good leader has a vision, and a good leader is authentic and is able to articulate why it's important to reach an objective. And not the least, a good leader is building people around herself so that the next generation is stronger than this generation.
Right, great. So what was your first job in your life?
My first job in my life was at the construction site, where I cast concrete from 7 a.m. in the morning until late in the afternoon. I grew up in a construction family. I love that work at the construction site.
And what languages do you speak?
Well, I started speaking Trøndersk, which is a form of Norwegian. When I went to Harvard, I did need to learn English, okay-ish, and with McKinsey. And of course, I did learn German. I was fascinated by German. And now, as a hobby, I'm learning French.
Oh, that's cool. So this is obviously a very important question. Which football team do you support?
I supported Rosenborg. And of course, Arsenal. Arsenal is my passion.
All right. So if you could choose a sport to compete in the Olympics, which one would you choose?
Well, my dream, of course, would be to be in the badminton final. I grew up playing badminton competitively, but I do know, of course, that that's not achievable. So if I'm going to be at the Olympics today, it'll probably be as a coach or, just as part of the audience.
All right. And what is the most Norwegian thing about you?
Well, I think it might be the fact that I love nature. Every opportunity to be outdoors, winter, in the summer, and I love the sun. So whenever the sun is out, I need to be there.
All right. And what does the Oslo do better than any other city in the world?
Oslo is about to become very, very distinct in its ability to both give people a phenomenal lifestyle, phenomenal quality of life, but on the other side, drive creativity and productivity at a phenomenal level. The combination of having a good life and a productive life and achieving your objectives in a melting pot is, I think, where Oslo is starting to be really unique.
So, one question about your daily routine. How do you get ready for a big meeting?
Well, I typically like to be well rested. So I don't work too hard before a big meeting. It's very important to be present and see people in the meeting and go with the flow, and not the least using humor. So I found that if I prepare too much, I'm not that fun.
And what is the cause that you're most passionate about today?
What I'm working on is to help the transformation of Norway, Norwegian society, into a cleaner future, with a new industrial base, more aligned with the future and what society needs and what the climate needs. That's my primary initiative. And secondly, in East Africa, job creation.
All right, so let's go upstairs since it's the business sector here at the library. And since we're talking about business, do you have a book would you recommend me about innovation or business?
I think there's one written by Kai Li, who used to lead Google in China, called AI Superpowers. That really is interesting in its setting up the conflict going forward between tech in the US and tech in China and the role of Europe in all of this. And you can think about also Norwegian tech playing out in a world where AI is going to be so important. And it's important for us also to have an AI strategy for Norway going forward.
Okay, and what is your favorite Norwegian author?
My favorite Norwegian author is Jon Nesbø. I just love his books. But I grew up in a family that were reading all the time, and my mother was referring all the time to characters in Henrik Ibsen plays and Knut Hamsun books. So both Ibsen and Hamsun has been very important for me.
All right, so we need to address a little bit about the pandemic. Did you get a new hobby during the pandemic?
Well, it probably was Duolingo. I finally got the time to start to learn French. And it's now basically something I do every day. I'm still not very good, but it's at least something new.
And you have 2 teenage daughters. What do you hope they learn from you?
Well, I hope that they learn that they should not do what their parents are telling them.
Oh, that's a good one. So, what do you eat for breakfast?
Oatmeal, porridge, every day. And I eat the same every day.
And cross-country or downhill?
I do both, and in Norway it's called telemark and randonnée. It's a nice combination. I love that.
Video calls or emails?
Oh, video, absolutely. I like to talk and basically be able to respond, think on top of your head, build on people. Video, not emails.
All right, and this is a really hard one. Mountain or sea?
I think one of the great things about Norway is that we have the seasons. The seasons are so distinct. And in Norway, mountains are wonderful in the wintertime. And the sea is wonderful in the summer. So both, but it's depending on the season.
Okay, tell me, what is the most annoying business buzzword?
Well, there's no annoying business buzzword for me, because every business buzzword has an intention, has a meaning, and it's more about trying to interpret what's in it and build on it. Every profession has buzzwords, so I think we are far too focused on buzzwords being annoying. Buzzwords are very important.
Okay, and what do you do in your days off in Oslo?
Typically I run in the forest, I go skiing, I'm on the fjord, really leveraging nature more than anything. But also, just this cultural opportunity in Oslo is wonderful. Look at the new library, with the theater, the opera. There's so much you can do here now. It's really, really high quality, and I very much enjoy that too.
And what is the hottest business industry in Oslo at the moment?
At the moment, actually, it's that part of business that is transforming Norway into this new future. It's a lot about the startup, scale-up community. It's a lot about Euronext growth, all the people working on financing these new ventures. It's a big new thing here. So that part of the economy is really exploding at the moment.
Okay, so what do you like the most, podcast or music?
Definitely podcast. So I'm a big podcast user from early in the morning until late in the evening.
Do you have a favorite podcast?
Well, again, depending on the time of day. I start the morning with the BBC, and then in terms of venture and venture creation, I really like Reid Hoffman, and I like All In with Jason Calacanis and many of his friends. But I listen to many podcasts.
Okay, what's the app that you use the most?
Productivity apps, in all fairness. I think Outlook, all the communication apps and triple text and so forth. And then Duolingo a lot these days, and then news apps like Wall Street Journal, the Norwegian, DN, Finansavisen, and so forth. What I never do, I never play. So I've never done a game on my mobile phone. No interest for gaming.
So if you invite friends over for dinner, what do you cook?
Fish. So I have two fish courses I make. One is salmon and one is halibut. And everyone knows that it will be one of the two.
Okay, if you don't have the time, which restaurant would you choose?
I like Savan down at Tjuvholmen, and then I like the salmon, which is very close. Of course, serving fantastic Norwegian salmon at Tjuvholmen. But I think increasingly there's just a number of great restaurants there to pick from.
And what's your favorite holiday?
My favorite holiday would typically be a road trip with the family. And then we would go take one country, we go for a week or two with a car, all the 5 of us in there, and we visit beaches but also cities, and we get culture, and we get nature, and we get friendship, and it's wonderful.
What's your favorite Norwegian word?
Oh, snill, gentle.
Okay. And which TV show you're obsessed at the moment?
I have no obsession with TV shows, but I do watch a lot of news, but TV shows is actually not my big thing. I'd rather go and do some research on YouTube or something and go a little bit deeper in a topic I'm interested in. At the moment I do a lot of YouTubes on history with Neil Ferguson and Kenneth Clark and so forth. I think that's more fascinating.
All right, so which social media do you use the most?
LinkedIn, absolutely, LinkedIn. It's a great social network for people with my type of interest.
All right, this has been really interesting. I hope you have time for the 4 last questions.
Sure.
All right, so which startup you wish you have discovered?
There is a startup here in Norway called Easy that is revolutionizing electric vehicle charging. Totally new technology, very successful, and the founder, only 35 years old, came to me 4 or 5 years ago, and I didn't believe in him, so I didn't invest in the company. Then last year I came back to him and apologized, and we found a way that we can work together. I'm very happy with that, Jonas.
That's a fantastic story. Give us 3 Oslo startup names to keep an eye on.
At the moment, I think there are so many, and you probably know that we have created unicorns here the last 2 or 3 months. Oda, e-grocery, Cognite within industrial internet, and yesterday Gelato within printing. But I think in the marketing arena, where I'm very active, companies like Superside is making digital content production globally. Superside, very interesting. Sanity, which is a new content management system, doing very well. And a company called Kavai that do conversational marketing, independent of current ad technologies like trackers and so forth. So I think those are very interesting companies to follow.
And what is the thing you were most excited about Norway in 2021?
I think there's so many things that are exciting in Norway this year. But I do find that one of the most exciting ones is that we are in the middle of an election, and it seems like there is such broad consensus for the fact that we need to transform the Norwegian economy and our energy base into a more sustainable future. And we need to promote innovation and new companies. And that seems to be so broadly anchored that is truly fascinating.
Last question. What is the best thing about Oslo Innovation Week?
Oh, it's bringing all these people together. And innovation is about having different opinions and experiences coming together in a collaborative environment. And you're creating that, and you're putting Oslo on the map as one of these kind of epicenters in the world of future, sustainable innovation. So it's a big kind of applaud to you for doing this. It's so important.
That's so good to hear, Trond. So thank you so much for meeting us here at the library. I'll see you around.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.